Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? What is good? The king of lightning here today, bringing you guys and gals the first chapter of Hunter x Hunter 2017. Togashi Yoshihiro is back. He has graced us with his presence from the Dragon Quest heavens, and we have ourselves God knows how many weeks of Hunter x Hunter, but still, nonetheless, Hunter x Hunter, and I am on top of that shit. Now, first and foremost, if you have not seen the live stream for Hunter x Hunter that I did last week, there'll be a card right here. Click on that. We talked about a lot of things for almost 3 hours, so if you got the time, check it out. That's number one. Number two, the reason why this video is coming out late is because of family situations. Of course, I mentioned that on Twitter when it came to what was going on, and you guys already know about that on Twitter and also on Discord as well. The circumstances are fairly grim at the moment, but we'll see how things go on for the next few days. That being said, I know some of you assholes don't care about that shit, so let us dive headfirst into Hunter x Hunter. Now, first and foremost, the pacing / chapter structure. For this chapter, we have about roughly 5 parts. The first thing is Kurapika pinning down Siren. And then as he's pinning down Siren, Kurapika is going to use the ability of his index finger, which then goes to the second part of the chapter, which is a flashback involving Kurapika and Izanami. And Izanami discuss several things that are fairly important, and basically giving you the roots as to how Kurapika came up with this power in the first place, or its index finger chain. Then the third part of the chapter is Siren having his ability, his Nen aura, being drained by Kurapika's index finger chain ability. After Siren talks to Kurapika for a period of time, Siren himself gets taken by the Kaiken army, and he's considered to be a murderer for the time being. The fourth part of the chapter is completely shifting over from the 14th Prince Wobble and Queen Oito and Kurapika to the 7th queen and her kids. The 7th queen is Seven Chi, that's her name, straight up, Seven Chi. The 13th prince, the boy, is Mariam, and then the 12th prince, the girl, she is Momose. After that part, we have the 5th part of the chapter, which is the last part of the chapter, which is Hulkenberg talking to his father, the king of Kaiken. So those are the 5 parts for this chapter of Hunter x Hunter. Now, when it comes to this chapter, the biggest thing I would say is characterization. So let me just go to characterization step by step. And this has 6 parts total. So the first thing here we'll talk about is Izanami. Now, Izanami is the Nen master for Kurapika. Now, if you guys forgot, when it comes to being a hunter, one of the key requirements of being a hunter is knowing and utilizing Nen. If you can't do that, then you can't be a hunter. So most of the cats that we know have had teachers, and in Kurapika's case, Kurapika's teacher was Izanami. And if you forgot, Izanami is actually one of the bodyguards that is currently on board the Black Whale Mark I. He is one of the bodyguards of one of the female princes. I believe it's the prince that has all of the pretty boys. I believe he is among those bodyguards. And when it comes to his character in this chapter, the key thing here is the flashback, where he explains to Kurapika the importance of teamwork in certain situations. Now, Kurapika himself has experienced that when it comes to Kilo, when it comes to Gon, and York knew that was very apparent when it came to teamwork, because their lives were on the line. So things had to go swimmingly, if not, one of them would have died at the very least. And currently for his character, Kurapika, he does understand the importance of teamwork, but him being in various situations across the entire of the series thus far has actually only driven his desire to find his own even more. And way back when, it was fairly strong. When he's talking to Izanami and he's going over his power scheme, Izanami tells him to leave one finger out. So don't have one of your chains have a specific power for one of your fingers. And he states he feels like if Kurapika does that, then Kurapika would be too independent. So when it comes to Izanami's character, it strengthens his ability as a mentor. Whereas a mentor, he's not just touching upon the Nen basics, but also he's talking about things like teamwork and how even if you feel like you can rely on your own powers, you shouldn't necessarily do that, because when you work together with someone, the combination of this team, the strength that's output, it's far greater than what any individual can do by themselves. So in the flashback, he's clearly honing this in. So that's number one when it comes to characterization of this chapter. Number 2 for characterization is going to be Kurapika. Now for this part of the characterization, we have 2 parts, subparts. Now, first of all, we find out what Kurapika's Nen ability is for the index finger, and that is the seal chain. Now the seal chain comes in the form of a syringe. Now the syringe dives into a person and it starts to suck out the aura of said person. And as the seal chain, the syringe, sucks out the person's aura, the person is actually brought into a state of Zetsu. So very similar to the chain gel of the middle finger, but in this case, the chain gel can only be utilized against Phantom Troop, and it forcibly brings them down into a state of Zetsu. Whereas when it comes to the seal chain, after he's accumulated a certain amount of aura, that person who he has targeted reaches a state of Zetsu. That's the first part of it. The second part, the second subpart, is once Kurapika uses Emperor Time with the seal chain, he then conjures up some type of like dolphin thing, dolphin metal, whatever it is, all right? It's like some dolphin named creature that has two syringes as like its fins. And the dolphin named creature can actually talk. It's kind of like a robot. And basically the dolphin named creature can only use the ability that Kurapika has attained from whoever he's targeted with the seal chain once. So in the case of Siren, Kurapika has taken Siren's then ability, and he can only use that ability once. So he has to use it wisely. So it's not like some Crollo Lucifer stuff where he can just keep the ability and use it however he wants to use it. No. He can only use the ability once. And once the ability is used, it will return back to the original owner. And on top of that, it appears that Kurapika needs to have some knowledge of that ability already before he can even utilize the sealed chain, let alone use Emperor Time to use the ability itself. That seemed to be the main reason why he was talking to Bill about what Siren's ability was. So now we've seen all 5 of Kurapika's major abilities on top of Emperor Time when he goes Scarlet Eyes. So Kurapika has this amazing arsenal of abilities. Like, he really does. And Emperor of Time in of itself makes Kurapika like massively deadly. Now, number 3 for characterization is gonna be Siren. Siren has an ability called Little Eye, also called Black Window. There are several ways to say it. But basically, his Nen ability allows him to control small living creatures that are not Nen created. Very important right there. So even though Kurapika had Siren's ability, the Nen creature that came out of Siren's ear and then went into the vent, he could not control that creature with Siren's own ability because that creature was formed out of Nen. And he could actually control something as large as a hamster. So a hamster is still small, but when you think of small creatures to control, the first thing that comes to mind would be like a fly. But Siren explains to Kurapika that flies have natural predators, so it may not be a good idea to actually capture a fly, and some creatures themselves are actually hard to capture in the first place. So basically, his Nen Ball, the Little Eye, can control things as large as hamsters. Even if this creature is in like a separate room, or like a ways away, they can see and hear what the creature sees and hears. So this ability is clearly very good when it comes to, let's say, undercover, stealth kind of situations. I know it's too big, but it would be really cool if with this ability he could like control a hawk.
Be my eyes, Senu.
On some Senu shit? Oh yeah! That would be sexy. I would do that. If I was Siren, I would do that all the time. Just control hawks and eagles and look at the world from their perspective. Absolutely. I would love doing that. Okay, but let's continue. Number 4 for characterization is going to be the 7th Queen of Kaiken, Seven Chi. Now, Seven Chi, she plays clear favoritism when it comes to her children. The eldest one, the daughter, Momose, is getting very little protection, while the youngest one, the son, Mariam, is getting almost all of the guards. And apparently, Sevenchi, the queen, she had hired guards for both Momose and for Mariam. What's the queen wants? Because again, we've covered the whole bodyguard queen system in the live stream. But essentially speaking, the bodyguards of the children also stem from the queen. So the queens, the upper echelon queens, can choose bodyguards for the lower echelon kids of the lower queens. But my guess here is that at some point, as a result of the 7th queen playing favorites, not only may Mariam, the 13th prince, die, and this I don't think we've touched upon yet as a possibility, but the queens may die. Because the queens are there and they play a pivotal role, I can't say all the queens, but with Oito, it's obvious that Oito, she's protecting Prince Wobble. So in order to get to Wobble, you must first get to Queen Oito. So as a result, we may see queens kick the bucket as well. So the King of Kaiken, he may not just be trying to weed out who will be the best prince to be king later on, but also he may be weeding out the queens as well. I don't know why he'd want to do that, but queens may die. And in particular, Queen Oito, she's trying to escape. However, will it actually happen? I mean, it's Hunter x Hunter. People die in waves sometimes. And that's just how Togashi does things. So Kurapika and Bill can try their hardest and try to get Oito off the ship so she can leave with Wobble and be free and whatever. But we have Nen Beast of all sorts doing all types of crazy stuff. We only have 2 bodyguards left. Yeah, queens may die, straight up. Now the 5th part of characterization is going to be Momose. Momose, the 12th Prince of Kaiken, she is the host of the giant teddy bear Nen Beast. So it looks like Camp Wobble has been assaulted by several different type of Nen Beasts via several princes. Odds are is that no prince is controlling their Nen Beasts. The Nen Beasts are acting independent. And when it comes to Momose, that appears to be the case, where the Nen Beast of Momose controlled Siren to kill those 3 guys, including the main guy that they needed to escape the ship in the first place, Carton. And in the chapter, the last panel we see of Momose, we see the giant Nen teddy bear behind her. She doesn't see it, of course, because she can't control Nen, but she feels tired and exhausted after doing nothing. And that was explained previously when it comes to parasitic Nen creatures, where they will take the aura of their host to perform certain acts at the behest or against their host. It depends on the creature. Also, it depends on the host as well, because more often than not, the host affects the outcome of the creature. So in Momose's case, the teddy bear has been taking Nen aura from Momose, and it has been using that aura to perform these acts and killing off bodyguards from Camp Wobble. And actually, now that I think about it, because the Nen Beasts act independent, and it looks like Momose's Nen Beast is acting in her behest. So the Nen Beast does want to help her out, because if she dies, then the Nen Beast goes as well. Again, they're a parasite. Well, because the 7th Queen, Sevenchi, she's removing bodyguards from Momose's side, this puts Momose at a greater risk of oncoming threats from whoever, which means that as a result, the Nen Beast of Momose may take control of someone that can utilize Nen, because I believe that the Nen Beast of Momose can only talk to someone that actually utilizes Nen, which was actually one of the main reasons why Kurapika brought Siren all the way down to a state of Zetsu, because there's no more Nen to control. Therefore, the Nen Beast in its ear had no choice but to leave. So not only does Momose's Nen Beast have a main body, the giant teddy bear, which can change its size at will, but also it has Sub-Beast, the thing that went inside Siren's ear to control Siren after Siren said that, yeah, he was free. So the same thing may happen to one of the bodyguards or another person that can see Nen. This person kills Sevenchi, the 7th Queen, and as a result, the bodyguards go back to the original station. So that right there just ups the odds. Clearly, it ups the odds of the queens being attacked in this war as well. Finally, number 6 for characterization is going to be Hulkenberg. Now, Hulkenberg has history when it comes to the King of Kaiken, when it comes to the nation of Kaiken. Hulkenberg, chest out, dad, middle fingers up. I am not going to take part in this bloodbath. I refuse. The only reason I'm here was to save face for you, but I'm going to withdraw from the Secession War. Hulkenberg, okay, chest out, like, yeah, let it be known. And on top of that, we get to see the Nen Beast of Hulkenberg. This thing does not look like a bitch. It looks like the furthest thing from a bitch. Like, here is bitch, and here's Hulkenberg's creature. It is off the charts. This thing looks ferocious. Do not mess with Hulkenberg, because this thing is going to devastate you. It is going to absolutely slaughter everything around it. So what its abilities are, I'm not too sure, but we may find out, because the King of Kaiken gives Hulkenberg the A-OK. Yeah, fine, you can leave, which is crazy. Odds are you can't have 2 princes survive, because that brings a certain degree of illegitimacy to the throne. So only 1 prince can remain. And yet, here's Pops, Hulkenberg. All right, fine. So that could mean several things when it comes to Hulkenberg himself. And potentially, one of those things is Hulkenberg has no actual blood ties to the King of Kaiken. Maybe the mother of Hulkenberg, I forgot who she was, maybe she cheated on the King of Kaiken, gave birth to Hulkenberg. The King of Kaiken is aware of that. Doesn't matter. I'm not too sure. But Hulkenberg intrigues the piss out of me. I just feel like right now, because Dad's like, all right, fine, yeah, you can leave, Hulkenberg is going to get decimated, like, fast. But his Nen Beast makes you think otherwise. Because this thing, and because the Nen beasts are also kind of like manifestations of a person's persona and their desires and that kind of stuff, it shows you the intensity of the man Hulkenberg, because this thing is intense. God damn. Like, you have an idea of how the King of Kaiken works based on his Nen creature and how it looks. And I mean, it looks like a whole mess of like, but it kind of matches considering how he has like 8 wives. When it comes to Momose is a young girl, she's sewing. You can assume that she likes cute things, and on the whole, she has a teddy bear Nen beast. I like Hulkenberg's Nen beast. I do. And finally, for the chapter, we have ourselves the story progression. And for this part of the chapter, we have not 5, not 6, 7. 7 parts when it comes to this chapter of Hunter x Hunter. But this should be relatively quick because some of these parts are fairly streamlined, but nonetheless, here we go. Number 1, Kurapika takes out Sai with ease. Number 2, Kurapika, for the first time in the series, uses the ability of his index finger, the seal chain. Number 3, so we are going through this fairly quickly. Number 3, we find out what Siren's abilities are. Not only from Kurapika taking Siren's Nen through the seal chain and then having the dolphin talk about what his abilities are, but also Siren himself explaining more in depth about his own Nen powers. And he talks about that before he's taken by the Kaiken army because he is charged with the murder of all these bodyguards. And keep in mind, if you guys forgot, the war itself is supposed to be done by the princes themselves. Again, they have bodyguards for a reason. So in order to get to the princes, odds are you need to go through the bodyguards. However, a crime is still a crime, murder still murder. The battle itself is waged in the shadows. We're talking about Nen creatures here that most folks can't even see. But let's say that one prince is found stabbing another prince. The prince that stabbed the other prince will be charged as a murderer and will be confined, maybe executed, and so on and so forth. Because they still have to abide by the rules of the nation, even though they're not in the nation, they're going to the new continent. So if someone is caught red-handed killing someone else, they will be punished by the full weight of Kaiken law. And when it comes to Siren, he is a bodyguard for a prince, and he killed people that are guarding said prince, and he'll be held in prison for his crimes until like they get to like the new continent and then whatever. So that's why he's also asking Kurapika and Bill to prove his innocence. So even though we're all focused on the battle in the shadows, don't forget about the actual structure and system that is still in place. Now, number 4 for a story is, again, Camp Wobble, struggling massively, where they had 11 bodyguards and now they're down to 2 bodyguards because Carton, he's gone. He was the main guy that they needed in order to make a ship because he could actually conjure a ship, like a boat, and so they could have used that to escape. However, he's gone, and right now you only have 2 cats. You have Bill and you have Kurapika. So Camp Wobble, from 11 bodyguards to 2 bodyguards, like that, because the ship, the Black Whale Mark I, has only been at sail for 2 hours. The journey itself is an 8-week journey. By the way, in the live reaction, I said it was like, what, 5 years? I was wrong. I was tired. I wasn't thinking straight. I do apologize. I'm sorry. But the actual time frame is 8 weeks, 2 months. I think it's gonna take them 3 weeks to get to a refilling station, and then it's gonna take the Black Whale Mark I another 5 weeks to get to the new continent. Well, in their mind, the dark continent, but in actuality, the new continent. So those numbers could be flipped around. Could be 5 weeks to get to the refilling station, and then another 3 weeks to get to the new continent. Either way, it's a 2-month journey to the new continent, and they're only 2 hours in, and they have lost 9 of their bodyguards. So Kurapika and Bill, they're gonna have to be like Mother Hawks and Mother Grizzlies, eyes open and ferocious as all hell. As long as Queen Olito is on that ship, they cannot afford to let their guard down for an instant. And this will segue into part 5 of the story progression, where because Carton is gone, got killed by Siren, who's being controlled by the Nen creature of Momose, the main plan here was to use him to get off the Black Whale Mark I. And according to Bill, they can still do it, but it requires the help of A, Pariston, which is very difficult apparently, and B, Master Beyond, which apparently is even more difficult to get assistance. That is fascinating. The only way Oito and Wobo can escape this battle, this war, is if they get the help of Pariston and or if they get the help of Beyond. Now, if they get help of Pariston, that is going to involve Jin Freaks, because he's number two. He's number two among the group. If it's Beyond, it's still gonna be intriguing as well, because now we're bringing in the Zodiac directly. I mean, granted, Kurvika is a Zodiac, but we're bringing in like the other Zodiacs because they have to monitor Beyond and make sure that he does nothing crazy. So how could you possibly bring in Beyond and get his assistance to get Oito off the ship when he's being heavily monitored by the Zodiac? Maybe the Zodiac themselves will help out in some way because it doesn't necessarily involve the Dark Continent. I'm not too sure how you get Beyond, but Pariston is your best bet. That's for damn sure. So that is number 5 when it comes to the story progression. Number 6 is the 12th Prince, Momose. We see how her mother favors the youngest son over herself, Momose, and how the vast majority of the bodyguards that the 7th Queen had gone for both of them, and how they're going to now protect the 13th Prince, Mariam, while Momose only has 2 guards remaining. So Momose right now is in a very vulnerable situation. But Momose seems not to mind, which is intriguing. So when it comes to speculation, we can only go so far for the time being. The answer may be far deeper than what we first perceive it to be. So we'll wait and see how things progress when it comes to Momose's character. And finally, part 7 of the story progression. Hulkenberg is going to leave. He is going to dip. He is out. He does not care for it. He refuses to take part in this bloody battle, and Pop's like, that's A-okay, that's cool, you can do you. Which, you have to wonder, how on earth can this be going down? At some point, you have to think Hulkenberg is going to kick the bucket, he's going to die by someone's hands. Who the hell knows? But if not, why? So that being said, guys and gals, I am done. When it comes to this chapter of Hunter x Hunter, the first chapter of 2017, I thought it was a good start. Because you do have things for character that are fairly good, that are fairly important, for not just the in-art characters like the Prince is, but also main characters like Kurpik himself. When it comes to the pacing, there was a lot there, though 2 of the parts are relatively the same. When it comes to story, the overall scope of the story hasn't changed that much. However, when it comes to the arc itself, you do have only 2 of the bodyguards left from the 11 bodyguards for the 14th Prince Wobble, and it's only been 2 hours into a 2-month journey. So it's been hectic on Kurpika's side for the time being. So good start for the first chapter of 2017 of Hunter x Hunter. Hopefully it continues that way for at least another 2 months. Hopefully, knowing Togashi, it'll be 2 months or like a month and a half. If he pulls out 3 months, I'm stunned. Honestly, God, I'm stunned. But we'll see how it goes. So that being said, guys, I am done. Be sure to, of course, rate the video. It is not that hard to do. Considering you all have a device called ZMouseu, you use ZMouseu to click, rate the video, to subscribe, to click on that bell to join the squad, and of course, comment in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts on the matter at hand. Peace and have a nice goddamn day.